We're gonna be talking to Kobe Dean, how much his injury has affected this offseason, and maybe it's a lot worse than we expected, and we have to really just prepare for some things in the future. So we'll be going over that. We'll be going over Nick Sirianni because I definitely need to rant on him. Because we really haven't talked about him in a while since late 23 season, at least on this channel. And we're gonna be talking about a safety that's available right now that the Eagles could go after. That's still out there right now. So yeah, let's get straight into it all.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope it's having a fantastic day today. This video is sponsored by BetUS, so if you go check them out if you guys have not. Well, the first thing I want to go over today, now, since the news is kind of slow, the draft is, near. It's coming. It's coming real fast. Pause. But we have to talk about Nakobe Dean in this linebacker position, man. Nakobe Dean, I think, changed a lot of things for this offseason. Okay, when we drafted him, a lot of injury concerns, third round pick. We were wondering what was going on and really just couldn't get out of his own way with injuries. And then finally in 2024, Devin White ended up getting shipped off, released, whatever the case may be. And, Nakobe Dean ended up getting all the reps. The Eagles said to themselves, hey, Nakobe Dean is finally healthy. He needs to go play and really prove his worth. And I'm really glad that they did that because obviously that open practice wasn't to our expectations in front of the public at Lincoln Financial Field, and it kind of pissed me off a little bit. But it is what it is. Things change, and I eat my crow on a lot of things here, which I've said in many videos before. Okay, now you have Nakobe Dean that got hurt in the Green Bay playoff game, patellar tendon injury. This is a serious injury. Okay, this isn't some like he just bruised his knee bad or anything. Patellar tendons are not, yeah, it's not good. So either he's going to come back the same player or he's going to come back an entire different player, which this either he's going to come back strong or it's going to finish his career. The rest of his career will never start in an NFL game ever again. Not even kidding. But we're hoping for the best here. I think a lot goes down on this injury because just say this. Even if he doesn't come back till October, November of the season, it's still questioning because even if he comes back by playoff time, when guys have serious injuries like this, whether it's an Achilles, an ACL, a knee injury like this, you have to already think that he's not going to play the entire year in 2025, this season coming up. Okay, we're 21 weeks away from the regular season. Yes, I've been counting. Okay. Um, he comes back October, November. You think he's just going to put a helmet on, put his shoulder pads on, put full pads on, walk out on the field and just be perfectly fine? No, man. I mean, you're rehabbing a lot of these months. You're not running around. I mean, sooner or later he'll start running around and stuff, but you're not going to be in football shape. You're not going to be in what you're expected to be. So missing all that time and missing an off-season program and all that, it's going to affect him dramatically, especially if somebody's going to take his spot. Okay. Now, Nakobe Dean, I think, just matured and not even matured, but you know how he is. He's very old school. He's got old school mentality, and the way he played this year was absolutely amazing. We all know this. So if he doesn't come back till October, November, it's going to take him at least another month, man. At least a few games, 3, 4 games. So maybe they'll have him back for the playoffs, if that's even the case. Okay. So what happens now? You're hoping Nakobe Dean comes back at the end of the year, and this is a contract year for Nakobe Dean. Okay. This is it. Like, he's going to be missing a lot of time, which I think you could bring him back on a cheaper price. Okay. If he comes back by the playoffs and he starts next to Zach Bond and he's back to his normal self, if he has enough time to play some games and kind of get himself where he has to be and he looks really good, the Eagles could sign him for nothing. That's the only good thing about this injury. And injuries are not good whatsoever, but we have to take this how we take this. Okay. So a cheap deal for Nakobe Dean after this year. So I think that will be very affordable from missing out as much time as he's going to miss going into this 25 season. Okay. Now, Trotter Jr. is on this roster, and I think Vic Fangio really likes him. I feel like the only thing that Trotter really needs to like work on is just wrapping around a little bit better, just wrapping up a little bit. You know, there's some times where he can make like a 4 or 5 yard loss, and he, just can't wrap around tight enough on some of these players and bring them to the ground. It's really been his only thing. He had that issue in preseason. He did it in a couple games this year, couple times. That's really my only thing about him. And Vic Fangio, every time he talks about Trotter Jr., he feels like he's ready. He feels like he's always ready. That Trotter can come right on the field, and with more time and reps under his belt, that he'll be a fantastic player in Philadelphia. Trotter Jr.'s got a Super Bowl ring his rookie season. Okay. You know what I mean? I know his name is obviously a big thing in Philadelphia. I think we all know that from his father playing here. This isn't just favoritism. I think Fangio actually likes the way he plays. He's always given him compliments. And if Vic Fangio doesn't think a player is playing great, he tells you straight up. That's why I like Vic Fangio so much, because he doesn't PR all his words around and make things too professional, but he's going to be straight up with you at the end of the day. Okay. And besides that, you really don't have much depth. Ben Van Simmeren is listed as a full-time fullback right now, and it is reported he is going to play linebacker, and especially in camp, he's going to be working with the running backs, and he's going to be working with the linebackers. So he's going to get double time. But he's coming off a knee injury as well. You know what I mean? So you're down to Zach Baun getting re-signed. And who knows, if Nakobe Dean never got hurt, who knows if Zach Baun would have got re-signed. But with Trotter Jr. in the building now, and you have an entire draft to really look forward to now, I wonder if linebacker is in the cards of this draft. And I'm not saying, what if a Jalen Walker becomes available in the late rounds? Probably not, but I would definitely take him 100% if that's going to be the case, okay? That could play on the edge and could play as an outside linebacker, could do both jobs really well. Especially from Georgia. Why not draft from that school again? Giad Campbell, I mean, another one, and had a shoulder injury, and this guy can move down the draft boards, could be a high ceiling reward for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't care about shoulder injuries. I don't care about guys that have injuries coming out of the draft, especially shoulders. It's not really a big deal to me. When it comes to Achilles, we the last time we took a player off an injury and really hoped for the best was Sidney Jones. And obviously that was the big mistake in the second round that we made back in 2017. So the Nakobe Dean injury, it's just a wait and see project right now. But they can't just wait for Nakobe Dean to come back. They got to figure something out in the meantime. And I know they'll add more bodies, okay? Because the only two healthy ones you have right now are Zach Baun and Trotter Jr. And Trotter Jr. was going to get a lot of playing time in the playoffs when Nakobe Dean went down. He was, Fangio was putting Oren Burks and Trotter Jr. in that Rams playoff game to see who would kind of, do really well. But Oren Burks was playing so good, Fangio just couldn't switch him back. I mean, at this point, it's like I might as well run with the guy that's already playing at a high level right now. And Oren Burks played, really good at a very high level. And I don't know why we didn't re-sign him. I don't know. 2 years, $5 million, whatever the hell the money was. I mean, it was a dirt cheap contract. No comp picks, no nothing involved. This was just straight up. He signed with another team, maybe for a starting job. Maybe he ended up getting a starting job somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe the Eagles didn't promise him he'd be a starter, maybe just be a rotational guy, something like that. I don't know. Maybe he didn't want that. So that's, past. We can't change that now. And I'm excited to see what they do in this draft, man. I know they haven't drafted a linebacker in the first round since a long time ago. And Howie Roseman has changed his philosophy on a lot of things, but he hasn't drafted a safety in the first round, and he hasn't drafted a linebacker in the first round, okay? And some guys can move down the board. Some guys can move to the second day. We'll find out if Howie Roseman has some tricks up his sleeve that he's never showed us in front of our own eyes. And we're about to find out. So I always pray for Nakobe Dean every single day that he's going to come back stronger than ever, and he's going to be the same player that he used to be. And that's what matters, because, man, it would be a shame if he doesn't stay the same, if this injury just really pushes him back so much. The only thing that's going to push him back is this year. and productivity and just being on the field. But what's going to help the Eagles, like I said, is going to be his contract. And because he hasn't played, he's coming off an injury, it's going to be cheap. So realistically, they can sign Nakobe Dean to a 1-year deal to kind of let him prove himself, okay, or a 2-year. Maybe maybe a 2-year deal, and the second year is an option year or something like that. I don't know. They could do something with the contract. It shouldn't be expensive. So I expect Nakobe Dean to be re-signed after the 25 season. Depending when he comes back, if he plays in the playoffs, and does he look good? And those are really the only three things. So linebacker is an interesting one for sure going down the line. Now, safeties. There are safeties available, okay? I understand the first round is obviously a big one for the Eagles at 32, and you could definitely go through a whole bunch of defensive linemen from the late teens to the early 20s, and maybe the Eagles will be the first team in line to trade up and get the best safety, whether it's a Malachi Starks, the kid from South Carolina, whoever it's going to be, okay? But you got to remember, too, like, things change. Like, Dallas Goedert's going to get traded soon. We're just waiting on it. And we don't know what's really going on with linebacker. We don't know what's going on with cornerback 2 seems to be a competition right now. So there's a lot going on. Offensive lineman is never off the table, but they've been looking at guys not really first round, but mostly in the mid rounds to second day. Okay. Julian Blackmon is still available right now. Okay. 26 years old. All right. Now, Julian Blackmon, okay, his best season was in 23, okay? What do you have? He was solid that year. 43.9 passer rating allowed, 35 run stops. He only allowed 282 total yards when targeted, 88 total tackles, and 4 picks that year in 23. Okay, he did visit the Panthers. He didn't come out with a deal, okay? You're not talking about a 30, 31, not a Justin Simmons. I think Justin Simmons is horrible. Okay, I don't care. Okay, he didn't play well with the Falcons last year. I don't care what anybody says. He didn't play well. Okay, they're just connecting Justin Simmons to Vic Fangio and Christian Parker because he played for them when he was on Denver, and Fangio was the head coach at that time, at that moment. Okay, Justin Simmons is I really don't want a bridge safety at all. But if there is one guy that is still out there right now, it's going to be Julian Blackmon, and is available. So, and he's not a 30, 31, 32-year-old. It's 26 years old. 1-year deal. Make him play. Howie Roseman has been signing 24, 25, 26-year-old players to this roster that are going to bet on themselves. Howie Roseman's going to keep those guys hungry on 1-year deals. And like I said, if safety is not the pick in this first round, man, that they could go down this route. Usually these guys that are left over from free agency, usually these guys are not signed until after the draft. These guys usually want to wait, see if there's an open spot for playing time. And that's when these guys actually wait it out a little bit. So he might not even sign to a team until, especially a lot of guys, he might not sign until after the draft, because usually a lot of players do wait a little bit. They don't want to screw themselves getting onto a roster. They're not going to start. And then they're like, damn, this sucks. What am I going to do now? So he's still available. And, it's not my favorite thing that we should do, because at this point, it's like, you got rid of Chauncey. You're saving $6 million next year, 13.8 the year after that, and then you go after Justin Reed for I guess a cheaper option, but he signed more money with Kellen Moore and the Saints, and then the news just went dead. Like, Eagles were just out. They don't even want Justin Simmons. I don't even know. So it's a big question mark whether they're looking for a bridge guy. They were looking for a bridge guy, but they could continue still looking for that. We'll see what happens, but safety is a big one here. Now I want to go to, all right, Nick Sirianni. Okay. Haven't talked about him in a while since the 23 season. I kind of ignored him in the 24 offseason program and just let him just do his thing. The bye week was a big one for us because that really changed everything. When Jalen Hurts was really not taking that week off, talking to Nick Sirianni, and I have to give him a lot of credit because he really was hands off. He let the coordinators coordinate, and he did the one thing that he's good at, okay? He's a tone setter, he's a culture setter. He's not a coordinator. He helps within the offense, and that's perfectly fine. Is he the brains of it all? Definitely not. Is this Nick's offensive scheme? Sure, it is, which I have learned it is Nick's scheme, offensive scheme. But the coordinator mixes some of his own flavor, which Kellen Moore did a lot of that last year, and it actually looked really good. You say this team can't pass on you, they could pass on you. You say this team can't run on you. Well, I think we showed that since the first week of the season with Saquon Barkley in Brazil. Nick has come a long way, okay? He's not a game planner. He was brought in 21 as a game planner, and he's not that even close to that. So I want to see if, it was already annoying me going into the 24 season that they were coming in with two new coordinators yet again. Okay. Fangio was a big, big question mark because of what happened in Miami and the players didn't like him. And then Kellen Moore was just like, okay, Kellen Moore, great. Was I highly excited? No. Was it a good move? I thought it was. And, he did a really good job here. You know what I mean? So Nick was really hands off, let the coordinators coordinate. And, I thought the one thing I like about Nick is when this team he never lets the team get too high, keeps them neutral. Too low, keeps them neutral. Keeps them right in the middle. That middle wave. That's why I like Nick. Keeps those guys focused. Not, and these players hear the outside news all year. And he's a coach that can keep them on that path, staying hungry, keep playing. Who cares if they're saying good things about us? Who cares? We got to keep playing. We got to win. I mean, that's all that matters. Remember, Nick says, I just don't, we've won 11, 12, 13 games. I want to do some special shit. That's what he said middle of the season. And post-bye week, man, this whole team changed. And Nick earned my respect totally. Haven't talked about this in a while because I didn't want to look at this guy's face, since the end of 23, because that was just, I didn't even know what to really expect. I didn't even know if it was able to keep his job at that point. Like, are they keeping him? Like, so Nick needs to learn just to get out of his own way. I think he's learning as a coach. Just remember, he hasn't been in the league 20 years as a head coach, okay? Every year is a new experience. And he's learning it from some of the guys that he works with, past guys that he's worked with, coaches, whatever the case may be with that. But he's competitive. And as long as the players like him and follow him, that's all that matters to me, okay? I don't really care about Nick. Like, Nick's a nice guy. As a coach, he does really good things when they're going well. Okay, the only thing I can nitpick about him in 24 that I really didn't like were some of these. Every time we faced a bad team like the Browns, the Jags, the Panthers, he would always be so fucking aggressive in these games. Like, overly aggressive, going for 2-point conversions every time. Like, it was just ridiculous. You kept the game close against a bad team. And that was really it. Other than that, I didn't make a stink about anything else. I was kind of riding the wave and enjoying myself and saying good things are coming. Hopefully a Super Bowl. Hopefully a second championship. And that's really what I wanted, So that's all I want to say about Nick Sirianni. And I want to know what you guys think about Nick. What do you guys think about Julian Blackmon signing a bridge safety? What do you guys think about Nakobe Dean and this linebacker core in general? Do you think Nakobe Dean's going to come back to be the better player? Or do you think that Nakobe Dean is not going to be on the Philadelphia Eagles as a starter because he's anymore? He's going to miss a lot of time. And do you think that they'll try to re-sign him for cheap after this year? It's going to be a big question with that linebacker spot. It's not as easy as everyone thinks it is. Thank God Zach Baldwin was re-signed, and thank God he was first priority of being signed. So that's a great thing. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. Make sure you hit the like button because it helps out the channel tremendously. And, it's very slow news right now. It has been one of the most quiet off seasons I've ever seen from the Eagles, probably the second most quietest off season. Really since after 17, really at going to the 18 off season. That's what it was. Yeah, it was almost the same thing, to be honest with you. But yeah, other than that, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, shakes what up, follows a lot. Peace out, guys. Peace.